What can a 64-year-old female bodybuilder teach you about being strong, lean, and healthy? A lot. Today I'm here with author and bodybuilder Carolyn A. Brent. As you can tell by the pictures and videos on the screen, Carolyn knows a lot about looking good. This at the young age of 64 years old. Yes, I did say 64 years old. Wow, Carolyn, you look great.
The $1,000,000 question, Carolyn, is what got you into bodybuilding?
That's a fabulous question, Kurt. When I was 52 years old, I broke my fifth metatarsal on my foot.
Oh,
As a
no.
result, I continued working with the cast on, which hurt my back, and I started having really bad spine problems. And as a result, the doctor told me that if I were 20 pounds heavier, that I would end up in a wheelchair because of the bone-on-bone in my spine. And I said to myself, absolutely not. I'm going to transform my life. Now, I was never overweight, but I lost 20 pounds and I converted that 20 pounds into muscle. And that just helped me to get stronger and feeling better. And then when I went on stage, there was something about going on stage that truly, truly changed my life. The first time I went on stage, I was 57 years old, came in second place. And I said, no, I got to do first place. So when I was getting ready to turn 60, I knew I wanted to write a book about transforming your life through self-care. But how can I write this book unless I won #1 in my category, which I did. So now I still do. I still go on stage. I don't go on for competition, but what I do, I go on stage even last week as a trophy presenter to other folks that are out there. It could be women, men, doesn't matter, young or old. There was about 10 men in their 60s on stage last week, this past Saturday, October 30th. And that was so inspiring because you can never, ever stop building muscle. I have muscle.
Yes.
I will continue to build muscle. I will continue to practice self-care because we have no other choice. Kurt, it's either that, a wheelchair, or in some nursing home. It's all about intentional choices. And as you know, because you've lost a tremendous amount of weight yourself, it's intentional to change and intentional to know what you're putting in your body. And the body will respond if we intentionally put the effort in.
Yes, without a doubt. And it's funny. So you just before we started recording, you mentioned you just received your doctorate. So for those who don't know about Carolyn, she's written several books, and as she just mentioned, winning bodybuilder. But tell us about that doctorate, because I don't think some people may fully appreciate exactly how well respected you are around the world.
Well, about 11 years ago, I wrote my first book called Why Wait? The Baby Boomer's Guide to tapping into the family emotionally, financially, and legally. And that book, Kurt, it went viral. It literally went viral because I talked about what it feels like for end of life when adults start to fight each other because they think mom or dad has money. That's why there's probate court. As a result, I wrote that book, and then one publishing company called Harlequin, they came knocking at my door. Then I wrote another book. Now here it is, 11 years later, I have 20 publications in over 1,104 libraries worldwide, and the University of Venezuela, they came knocking at my door because of my works over, basically worldwide. And because of the bodybuilding piece and my age, they asked me to be an ambassador of their school to let people know it's never too late. You could take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit. So they literally, praise God, awarded me last Friday a doctorate of caregiving and self-care. And I got all the rights that anybody else would ever have because I've done the work. So instead of paying 20, 30, 50,000 for a doctorate and doing a dissertation, I did it the long way by writing, books that are worldwide, and my work I'm known as an authority in the Library of Congress. So the work, it goes deep. It's in Harvard, Stanford, all of your Ivy League schools. Little old me, my work is there. So
Right.
they awarded me a doctorate, and I'm just so honored. They didn't give me the doctorate, I earned it.
Yes, that is obviously pretty true. And congratulations, that's very impressive. Anytime a university awards you anything, let alone a doctorate. No, that's pretty impressive. You talked about, stepping on stage, you came first place because you wanted some credibility. Now, in doing some research for this interview, I saw on your website that you mentioned threatened by health problems, and you touched on some of that a while ago. You focused on self-care to competitive bodybuilding. Winning a national competition. So between the health and stepping on stage, etc., and motivating other people, there's a lot to unpack there. So let's start with, did you have a coach for bodybuilding, or did you do this on your own?
Oh no, I had a coach. I would never try to venture because, first of all, I wouldn't even know how to coach myself for bodybuilding.
Right.
And I really recommend for all the listeners and viewers out there to hire yourself a fabulous coach that you trust. Because your coach, not only will they become your best friend, but they're the ones that's going to look at your body and tweak your body to get you on stage so you can feel confident. Because all of the folks out there that's competing, typically your first time on board, you want to have a coach. But there are some people that compete year after year. There's this one lady, true story. She's been competing since, she told me, 1992. She told me
Oh,
that.
wow.
And she's never won anything, but she's never had a coach. And she goes on stage and she has a little gut on her and she's kind of frumpy looking. And I'm going, why don't you get a coach? It's 1992. Are you kidding me? But she just loves going on stage. And, she always gives some type of award. Just, I guess, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I think having a coach is really key, especially, Kurt, a coach can really, and I'm just talking about the coaches that are natural-based coaches. The coach that I had, he taught me how to eat. I started eating for my blood type because I kept having stomach issues and I didn't realize the foods I was allergic to. And here lately, I'm talking about 4 months ago, I started getting a bad rash on my arm and on my leg. And I went to my dermatologist. She couldn't find anything. And then I watched a documentary on organic chicken. And when I let go of that organic chicken that I thought was organic, it was the hormones. You could buy the chicken, it says no additional hormones.
Yes.
Have you noticed that? Organic chicken, they'll say it's free range. But once I started doing research, free range could be like 2 feet of just 2 feet. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean they have full range like I thought. So guess what? I lost 7 pounds of water just from tweaking chicken out of my diet.
Wow.
It's amazing because my body holds on to everything that it doesn't like. And a lot of people, especially when they have large guts, I always say, I wonder what they're eating. And it could be something as easy, something as simple as tomatoes with the little seeds in it. Those are called leches. That right there, it goes in the system, in the gut, and the gut's going, what in the heck is this? Well, let me just park right here. And it parks in your gut. So I've learned about foods. I think that a person should have a coach to really help coach them on it. There's some good books, and one book that I've already written about, it's called Eat for Your Blood Type by Dr. Paul, I can't think of his last name. It's coming to me. But anyway, it's called Eat for Your Blood Type. It's been out for about 20 years. And I really believe in it because I'm a blood type O. Once I started eating things for my blood type, that's how I was able to get on stage at the age of 60 and win in my category. And that's how I'm still lean, as you can see. I'm still lean. And I still eat for my blood type to this day.
Gotcha. I'm going to put a link to that book in the show notes. I heard about that book years ago, but I never read it, but now I'm definitely going to get it. I've gotten
excellent.
Practical because like yourself, I am very hypersensitive to food. For
Yes.
example, my big delicacy are cherries. It's the one thing I will indulge in that's not organic because I just can't help myself. I just love cherries.
Oh, okay.
And inevitably, I will start to break out. I will start to
Mm.
have gut issues, bloating, etc. Then I will cut it out for a while and go back. Thankfully, cherry season is only here 3 months of the year. So I only need this. And then when the organic ones get out, because they get out late in the season, I switch to the organic ones. But yeah, I know. And I remember meeting a gentleman at Whole Foods who told me for him, if he ate non-organic pineapples, you'd notice changes in his skin, but he could eat the organic one. So, but to your point about the organic chicken not being organic, it's something similar with beef. It can be grass-fed, but not
Yeah.
grass-finished. They
Yeah.
could feed it grain and fatten up the cow. So again, you're getting the bad stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kurt, this is what I really highly recommend people to do. Know your body, know thy body. My body kept telling me something's wrong because I
Wrong.
don't eat beef, I don't eat pork, so I eat chicken, I eat fish.
Yeah.
And so once my body started, getting little tiny rashes and
Yeah.
I'm scratching like this, I'm thinking like,
Yes.
what's going on? And once I watched that movie, it's called What the Health of It. It was a documentary,
Okay.
and it was the best documentary I have ever viewed when it came to
Okay.
chicken, beef, pork, really
Okay.
what happens at the slaughterhouse
Yes.
level and the feeding level. I watched it and I was totally amazed with the person that did the research. And once I tweaked my diet by taking away the chicken, the rest is history. And we're talking about that just happened this year.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. So were you able to find truly, because I know, for example, when you say I go to Whole Foods and look at the eggs, you'll have the different versions of free range, like you say, somewhere they just have the door is open, the chicken can go outside or not, or sometimes chicken is forced to go outside for a while, and somewhere the chicken is outside all the time, essentially. Right. Were you able to find a better chicken, or did you just have to eliminate chicken altogether?
Well, that's an excellent question. I believed I was getting the best because it was I'm not going to even mention the name of the store, but it was free range, antibiotics. It said no additional. And then I'm thinking that I'm getting the best. But once I started doing research, the antibiotics that they put in the chickens before, when they're just little tiny eggs, it's atrocious. It's a lot. So as a result, that the little bit that was coming in my system, my body was rejecting it because I ate clean. So my body was going, what the heck is that? So, I think the reason why, because I was eating chicken, that was like my number one thing to eat, was like you eat the cherries, I was eating the chicken. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, chicken, chicken, chicken. So my body just finally just said, nope, no more chicken for you.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
I got you. So what other sources of protein do you currently utilize?
I actually do sometimes I'll do, there's, oh boy, I wish I had the name up. I'm not going to name drop because that's not appropriate. But what I do, I have a nutritionist and then at the health food store, and they will point out different vegan proteins that I can take that's not going to upset my stomach because I'm lactose intolerant. So there's a vegan protein that I like to eat, period. So then I do, I do a lot of like nuts, the ones that are good for you, tuna and salmon. So I'm trying to get it from other sources,
right?
Depending on the chicken that I had totally depended on. And then I do tofu. I love tofu. So, but I've learned because of just the way I am, anything that's too much is not good for you, period. So I'm trying to not, like overdo the tofu or overdo the tuna or the salmon. I'm trying to switch things up because my diet's pretty boring. It's a boring diet. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, mine is kind of like that. But something funny, most people, although they think they need a wide variety of foods, studies show they only eat a handful of things. Even when they go out all the time, they go to whatever restaurant they go, they tend to order the same thing. So it's this illusion that I think, oh, I can't eat healthy because I can't only eat chicken, shrimp, and this other thing. And I'm like, okay, let's track your food for a couple of days. And I point out to them, it's like, you see, you're literally eating 4 things. In your head, you're thinking you're eating 40 things, but the reality is your diet is not as varied as you like. Your diet may be varied than some people.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So although we're going to talk about nutrition a bit later, just because we got on the protein topic, I find a lot of people don't get enough protein, particularly ladies. They tend to avoid protein. So what's been your experience with protein? Did you always eat enough, or was that another thing that you became enlightened to?
Well, you know what? I take supplements, and the only reason I'm not naming the supplements because it's just not appropriate for for shows and stuff. But I always share with anyone that I talk to is find yourself a great nutritionist. And there's a lot of bodybuilders, the natural ones, that you have a dual, credential. They're nutritionists and they're bodybuilders. So I always say consult with a professional that could, and you'll sit down. And the only reason why I don't share a product because somebody inevitably will run out and buy the product.
Right.
That's good for them, but the bottom line, everybody's body type is different. There's endomorph, ectomorph, and mesomorph, and there's one other one, endomorph, mectomorph, and a mesomorph. Okay, I'm a mesomorph, which means I build muscle really easy. So therefore, there's certain proteins I could eat, and I'm going to really, really get muscle. And then endomorph, a person that's heavy and carries a lot of fat, they will have to try to lose the weight and build muscle, and only their trainer would be able to keep, tweak it and put, just really help them on that path. But most people, they don't even know what their body type is. They have no clue.
That's true. I'm more of that last body type, the more chubbier type.
Oh, okay, yeah, endomorph. And then the ectomorph is the ballerina type of person that could eat anything and they're going to lose weight and they're going to look like a ballerina, but that doesn't mean they're going to be healthy. So a person has to, I call it, know thyself, study your body, know your body. A lot of people run out and they do these fat diets. And my sister-in-law just did a fat diet. She lost 59 pounds. And last week, she was supposed to be with me for my graduation, but she was in the hospital because her intestines had twisted and she had to have emergency surgery. So I always share with people, don't do the fat diets. Don't do something just because you want to rush and lose weight. Take your time and lose it pound by pound on a holistic basis. You know what I'm saying? Don't starve yourself or don't do the liquids or, some people just want to do the all keto diet or all this diet. But what is your body type? What's your blood type? Are you going to get yourself into physical trouble by trying to lose weight too quickly by not knowing yourself? Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes, you didn't put on the 50 pounds in 1 year or 2 years. It was steady progression, 2-3 pounds a year, 5 pounds here, 5 pounds there. So it's not, because when we first spoke, we got introduced to a mutual friend, and I remember you asking me, how long did it take me? And I said, year and a half, 2 years. And you said, oh, so you did it right.
You did it right.
Yeah. And you add a coach as well. So,
well, I want you to share your story because I find your story fascinating. And the reason why it's fascinating, a lot of people, Kurt, feel like they can't do it and they give up before they even walk out the door. So do you mind just sharing your story? I think your story is fabulous on how you lost, you lost 100, how many pounds?
No, so I lost 40 pounds of fat and I gained the 30 pounds of muscle. And I was getting myself checked, on the DEXA scan machine, which is the second most accurate way to get your body fat tested. So I was doing it pretty regularly in addition to looking at the scale. So I thought that was pretty effective because, and it also measured your visceral fat, the really bad fat and things of that nature. So, but the key thing for me was similar to yourself is that I hired a coach, I'd done all this work on my own and I would have been heading down the path of that lady you mentioned who was training forever, stepping on stage and not winning, because you don't know what you don't know. And some of the things you do know are just not true. So, and you need somebody to just educate you, to push you sometimes, to tweak you. But ignorance, I think we touched on this. The two things that were holding me back is ignorance and arrogance.
Yeah.
The ignorance is obvious. Arrogance thinking, oh, I'm smart, I'll figure it out on my own. I think you had another word for it. You call it pride, one of the seven
pride.
deadly sins.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think you mentioned you've seen that hold back a lot of people. You know, they don't want to do what you yourself did. Like you said, you were never fat, but you still got a coach. I was clearly fat. So, you know, I got a coach. But why do you think so many people refuse to get coaching? I mean, the great example you gave is this lady that's been going on stage for almost 2 decades, or over 2 decades actually, and she sees all her peers around her. I'm sure 99% of the people around her are being coached. She sees these coaches, the coaches look fabulous themselves, whether they're men or what have you. So what psychologically do you think holds people back from just hiring a coach?
Well, I strongly believe that they don't really know the value of a coach, number one. Number two, they don't even know the value of themselves, that you're making an investment in your health, in your future. Because see, going on stage is more, Kurt, is more than just weight loss. It's more than just building muscle. It's also a spiritual journey as well. Because in my case, between my coach and God, every day I had to ask God, dear God, help me to do this, because discipline. Most people don't want discipline and accountability. So, you know, I was accountable to my coach. My coach would look at me, especially like a week before we go on stage. It's like, Carolyn, what did you do? What are you doing? What are you drinking? I could tell, did you have a glass of wine? No, coach, I didn't have a glass of wine. You're holding water. So, you know, do you know what I'm saying? Because he knew that I needed to, you know, dehydrate dehydrate to, you know, like 24 hours before you go on stage, so your striations could pop. But I was retaining water. Why? Because I had one potato chip, just one, and I wasn't supposed to have it. So he was able to let me know that you're doing damage to yourself with just that one. A coach could do that because they were spot on it. And then with my relationship with God, it just made me pray, because I was going on stage for a reason. I wasn't going on for vanity. I was going on because of my caregiving, the background as a caregiver. Caregivers are really lack a lot of self-care because they're so busy taking care of others. So I wanted to be that person to let them know, yes, you can do this. Yes, you can take care of yourself. During the pandemic, I never put on 1 pound, but one of my friends put on 50 pounds because she did not want to hire a coach when, you know, the pandemic was over. And these are true stories in California. So here she is. She's 50 pounds heavier. She's depressed. I said, get yourself a coach. Get yourself. Well, Carolyn, I got to lose weight before I get a coach. What do you mean you got to lose weight before you get a coach? Come on. You know, I hear these are real stories. So, you know, I let people know it's a journey, but a coach is your partner. If the coach is like a doctor, could be your best friend, just to be your cheerleader. They've gone through the weight loss. They know what it takes, but you gotta look at the coach's qualifications. Just because a person says they're a coach, it doesn't mean that they're a coach. Just because they won something in their category, it doesn't mean they're a coach. Check out their background. Know what you're investing in. So I look at hiring a coach, I'm investing in me. And that's the way I look at it. So, and I highly recommend that a person, I would never go on stage without a coach. That's why this lady, we're talking about last Saturday. It was October 30th. You know, she got off stage and I'm standing there going like, what the heck? Because she's not fit at all, but she'll, you know, just wearing the outfit's like, and we're talking about a bikini, maybe $700 or $800. They're not cheap. But those on, I didn't know that. Oh, if you get a nice one, they're not cheap. They're because they're tailor made to your body. But the thing, she keeps doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, getting the same lack of results, but she keeps doing it. So when she told me 1992, my mouth just hung open and I thought, you know what? I'll see you at the next show, and I'll see you doing the same thing unless you get a coach. But I'm going to be bold enough to ask her, have you considered getting a coach just for one show to see the difference? And one other thing, Kurt, because you are a coach, training a person, the person that you're training, their life, it will change forever. And the reason why I say that, when I go to the gym right now, I've had maybe 4 coaches in my life. I hear all their voices saying, Caroline, quit being lazy. Do another this. So, I mean, I hear in my head, I hear it. So it keeps forcing me to take care of myself. And the older I get, I'll be 65 in 2 months. The older I get, the more my value goes up. And the reason why it goes up is because most 65-year-olds, they don't have this.
Yes, they don't.
Muscle mass. Because we have been told when you grow older, you lose muscle, which is true. But if you get yourself a great coach, someone to really show you how to build muscle, remember, I lost 20 pounds of fat, but I converted it into muscle. And I've never, ever, ever let that muscle go, because now I know how to keep the muscle.
Keep it. Exactly. Exactly. No, you said something very important too about one of the benefits of the coaching. Well, firstly, that people don't appreciate or they don't know the benefits. And one of them was that consistency and that driving, because I remember when I did the weekly check-ins away, and where I take the 3 pictures, the front, the side, and the back, and I step on the scale, I was going to be damned if that scale didn't go down or at least stay the same weight. And if Saturday morning it didn't look what I wanted it to look like, I would bust my ass that Saturday and take pictures to Sunday and send them to my coach on Sunday. But it did hold me incredibly accountable. Incredibly accountable. Yeah. And I still hear voices in my head. It's funny you said that, because one of my coaches, he'd always tell me to squeeze. I always remember, especially with the triceps, I'm pushing down, squeeze. Squeeze. So even today, I always remember squeeze. It's like I'm saying it in my head. Squeeze the muscle. Yeah.
And another thing, I mean, there's so many great benefits of having a coach. I didn't realize that I was using all the machines wrong until I got a coach. They taught me how to sit properly and how to, like you said, to squeeze or to lift, the correct way. I was doing everything the wrong way, that I could have injured myself because I didn't know any better. So a coach will coach you into doing things that's not only the right way, correct way, but you'll get results. That's the key. It's all about getting results and sustaining yourself.
Yeah, no, that's true. And you see with guys a lot, I've told several guys, you'll see this very muscular guy curling 30-pound dumbbells, and then a guy with much less musculature than myself curling 30-pound dumbbells. And I will tell the guys, like, look, one of these 2 people are doing something wrong. And it's not the very muscular guy over there. It's the other guy. He's lifting too much, or his form is terrible. You tend to see that quite a lot, very, 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 very frequent. So what was it like prepping to get on stage? I mean, what did you learn during that process that regular people can use, not to step on stage, just in their everyday life, to stay lean, lose the weight, or maintain?
What I learned is to be laser focused with bottomless discipline in order to get the results. So I had to become laser focused. So to get on stage, I imagined myself winning #1. So therefore, if I imagined myself, that meant every day I had to get up out of bed. And in my case, I would go to the gym first thing in the morning, because that's when I have all my energy. First thing in the morning, do what I have to do. I would prep my food. It taught me discipline. And I've noticed, this is what I love about the sport. That's why I keep doing it. I mean, as far as I love passing out trophies, because people that's doing it, they are highly disciplined. In order to do it right, you have to be disciplined. There was a physician from, I believe he was from Montreal, actual MD. He won the overall masters in his category. Why? Because discipline. And here he is. He's a doctor. He won #1 in his category. And I think he did like the Mel's physique and just maybe 4 different categories. And he went home with everything. And it's because of that discipline drive. And Kurt, you know this for yourself. The number one thing that people don't have is self-discipline. They don't have it. They have to, the discipline is an intentional act. You got to be intentional to be disciplined.
Gotcha. So that's a good thing to build on. What are some tips or tricks you use to help set yourself up for success? And by that, I mean, I'll give myself as an example. I found that I have to have my gym bag already packed. Like I have 2 of everything, 2 socks, 2 shorts, 2 towels, and it would be by the door. Then I have a spare pair of sneakers in the trunk because I've forgotten the sneakers before. Or my supplements, they're on the kitchen counter beside the dining, beside the dresser. Somewhere I have to see them, let's say, or I even would keep them at the office. So I would have a scale in my office, in the office kitchen, at home, and in my car. So I got 4 scales. I know it sounds crazy, but because I'm always worried about forgetting them, or I just want, well, that's how I did it for myself, but I don't know what tips you have that you set yourself up for success.
Well, this is what really set me up for success a long time ago, walking into nursing homes. Because remember, my background, I have 17 years in the pharmaceutical industry. So I'm very, very aware of medicine and how it works the whole bit in the medical community. And then when my father had dementia and I had to take care of my father, walking into private assisted living and nursing homes, I always say, I don't want that to be me. I don't want it to be me. And a person doesn't have to be old to be in a nursing home. They could get sick for over 30 days. If you don't have money, they're going to throw you in a nursing home. So what motivates me is I want to stay as healthy as I possibly can for as long as I have breath in my body. So I feel it's my responsibility to stay healthy, my responsibility. That's what motivates me. And then I look at women, I'm strictly talking about women right now, and that's my age. And I go, dear God, no, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. So I do all the stuff that, most women my age, I color my hair because that works for me. I like my hair a certain color. I keep myself nice and fit because I love wearing mini skirts. I just want to enjoy being a senior and being a senior to its fullest. I don't want to be humped over, slumped over. I want to stand tall, feel good, and look good forever. So whatever ever is, it could be, God could call me home tomorrow. At least the person will say, Carolyn tried until God called her home.
Yeah, that's true. You just remind me of this quote I read years ago that I loved. It's like, I plan to live forever. So far, so good.
Wow, so far so good. Amen.
Yeah, so far so good.
Amen. Amen. That's good. That is absolutely good. And I just read a quote this morning on Facebook that really got my attention. It said, it doesn't matter how successful we are in life, because once we die, that success dies. But it's the legacy that you leave behind will live forever. The legacy. And that's what I want to do with all my publications. My legacy is going to live forever. Like my father's name, it lives forever through the legacy that he left for me, because I'm always mentioning my father's name. His name's Dr. William Brent. He was pastor, and his legacy lives through me. And he always said, take care of yourself, mentally, financially, legally, and emotionally. Take care of yourself. So
nice. I like that. So switching gears, tell me about the 6th book you published, Transforming Your Life Through Self-Care, a guide to tapping into your deep beauty and inner worth.
Well, that's the book that I was talking about that really catapulted me to want to go on stage, because I knew I wanted to write that book. So I talked about the journey of depression, when I was depressed, when I losing my dad, and the adult sibling rivalry. I talked about getting a divorce, when I'm thinking that I'm married and happily married, but my husband's girlfriend calls me up and says, I'll come to Milan. I mean, I talk about real life issues. And as a result, I could have just let myself go down, but instead of, I decided I'm going to be an eagle. I'm going to fly all the way up. So that particular book that was launched in 2019, it was a word to the people in America and overseas around the world. You must transform your life through self-care, a guide to tapping into your own deep beauty and your own inner worth. A person has to really feel their inner worth to tap into that deep beauty. And I'm not talking about the external beauty. I'm talking about the deep beauty that's inside of a person, in a person's heart, that people can't see, or they may be able to see it. Haven't you ever, Kurt, ran into I'm talking about a super senior, someone that's like in their 90s, but they were so beautiful. Although they were just beautiful, their spirit. That's what I'm talking about, that deep beauty. I also, in the book, I talked about athletes, the Olympic athletes, how they train for years and years and years. They fall down, but they'll get back up because the 5 minutes that they are doing the World Olympia, when they're doing that, they train for years, for 5 to 7 minutes of competing. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
But they're highly disciplined and they don't stop. And that's what transforming your life through self-care, a person has to want to transform. Because if they keep doing the same thing, getting the same results, you got to get a coach or I've had so many coaches, and I'm talking about mental coaches, spiritual coaches, emotional coaches, food coaches, physical coaches. I've had coaches for writing coaches. I still have writing coaches. And I have 20 publications out there. I don't take the glory for everything. There's a lot of people and a lot of, there's a whole lot that goes behind a book that's in libraries. And did I put those books in there? No, God put them in there through the publishing companies that found it worthy. But I did the research. It's all about a person. You got to do your homework. In pharmaceuticals, this is what I learned many years ago. If it's not research, then it's a lie. You have to have evidence. You got to back whatever it is up with evidence. That's why I share with people, if they're looking for a coach, do your research on the person before you hand them some money. Because there's one lady, she has stolen my identity and we're in court right now, but she calls herself a coach. She does. And she's given herself a, Harvard graduate. She stole my EIN number. But the bottom line, if people are going to hire her, they need to do the research. They'll see online that this person is fake and phony. So everyone should do their own research and be responsible for self. That's self-care all the way. You got to be responsible.
To me, I can summarize a lot of what you said, the who versus the how. You can try to figure out how to do something, spend a lot of time, energy, and money, or you can find the who. You have found several who's, whether it's your mental coach, bodybuilding coach, writing coach. These are all people who have an expertise, and you can get access to that. They probably have decades, years, or what have you, of knowledge, et cetera, et cetera. So you can tap into that. It's pretty efficient.
Absolutely. That's what I tap into. And then once you learn it, then you have it forever, ever and ever. So I always share with people, invest in yourself. And I'm not taught, somebody told me, because I do interviews all the time, they said you could go out and spend $3,000 on a purse, or you could take $3,000 and invest in a great coach to get your body together. Which one has long-lasting effects?
That is I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that line because just the other day, speaking to a friend of mine, I was giving some advice, and she was talking about doing, I guess, one of those like mummy makeover type things. And I was explaining to her that in her current lifestyle, if she spent all these thousands of dollars, just going to put back on the weight again. And she's like, oh, well, I'm going to knit this and this. And I'm like, listen, until you're living a certain kind of way, you'll just put it all back again. Because I remember meeting a lady who told me she had some process done And she said a year later, she couldn't tell the difference. She said it's as if she never done it. That's literally what she said. It was so depressing. She said she spent all this money, and a year later, she said, Kirk, I look in the mirror and I cannot see any evidence of it being done.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because her lifestyle had not changed. So the body will just revert back. I don't care how much thousands of dollars you spend on surgery.
Absolutely.
They could surgically try to look like you, but within 6 months to a year, they'll be back to their old self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My friend that put on 50 pounds, she actually had liposuction. And I told her before she even got the liposuction, I said, she got the liposuction like 4 years ago. Scientifically, when a doctor takes the fat from one area, the body's smart. The body will say, okay, you've taken me from the hip, I'm going to go into your neck, or I'm going to put fat in your arms. It will find its way back into the body. The bottom line is you can't do it. There's no shortcuts. You got to do it the right way. If you want to get rid of fat, you work that fat off, convert it into muscle instead of trying to suck it out with a needle.
Yes. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's even worse. The body will purposely put it deeper inside around important organs, because as far as your body knows, some trauma has happened and somebody stole the fat, and the body's like, what the hell just happened? We need to get this fat back and we need to protect it. So let's put it harder, make it harder to lose it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've heard stories of people doing some of these things and the fat comes back in their face and their face looks all funny and stuff like that. You can be, but they put the disclaimers on these websites. But of course, at that point in time, I'm sure people don't care. They go ahead and then later regret it. So now.
But you know what, Kurt? Everybody is looking for a quick fix. There's nothing quick to fix. I just look at if a person truly loves their self, take your time, get someone that you can be accountable to, that's professional, that has it. Now, Kurt, aren't you an engineer by trade?
No. By education, finance and accounting background, I'm a certified public accountant. I do internal auditing.
Well, that is discipline.
Kind of similar. Discipline to discipline.
That is total discipline. Now, if a person got you as a coach, they will have to be disciplined, because in order to be an accountant, you're excellent with numbers. Now, that's the area I've always had challenges with. Although I have an MBA, I always thought that's part of my brain that just, I have to really, really work hard. But no, I admire that about you, because that's a discipline. That's a discipline filled period. You know what I'm saying? So, kudos to you. So whoever you get as a client, they're getting somebody that is disciplined. That's all I have to say. And I'm really proud of you and your accomplishments. I'm really proud of your accomplishments.
Yeah, you can tell that with me and my 4 scales.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're keeping yourself accountable. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. That was my thing. So 4 final topics. I want to cover workouts, nutrition, recovery, and supplements. Have you found that you need to work out differently at 65 versus at 35? It's probably a yes or no question, more no than yes, because I know a lot of people to get in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they think, I can't do what that 25-year-old does, but that's not fully accurate. Of course, you're not 25 either, so you do need to probably take some precautions. Let's say, probably warm up more. You're not 18, you can just jump up and go do something and don't break something, let's say. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's all about knowing thy body and also trusting your coach. And I actually do want to say, I do have a coach at the gym that I go to. I pay a little extra to have a coach, and I'm a bodybuilder, but he works around my injuries. Okay, remember I told you I have a back injury. So when I'm working with my coach, we work around my injuries. I don't do burpees. I would never do a burpee. I would be in a wheelchair. So I know my body, and I only hire people that will listen to me when I say I have this injury, that injury, blah, blah, blah. So it's knowing thy body. So yes, a person can still get a good workout when you have someone to help you, and you know your body, and you do, you can still do great things. As far as nutrition, we tapped into that already. A person has to really know what they're putting in their body.
Right.
And my book called Transform Your Life Through Self-Care, there's like 30 different foods that I've done research on that a person should never put in their body, but people do. And I got the research from world-renowned physicians that are gastroenterologists that talks about what happens in the gut. Because remember, this is not my research. It's the research I did on world thought leaders. And the number one thing is that one of the gastroenterologists, Dr. Lee, she's in California, she talks about Greek yogurt. She talks about how much sugar the Greek yogurt has.
Oh, yes.
She also talks about the granola bars that people think they're eating something nutritious and what they're putting in the body that's harmful to them. Also, she said wheat bread. I was shocked with wheat bread. All of these little things that people could tweak out of their system. People love pizza, but that's one of the things that she says, canned soup, bacon. I mean, she has a whole list of things that could help shrink down that waistline if we just eliminate it in our bodies. But the one thing that really helped me were the little tiny peppers. I used to love the little tiny dried peppers. And I would wonder why am I bloated? Why is my stomach just doing all this crazy stuff? So on television, they tell you just to pop a Tums and you'll be okay. But now you get to the source, the body will always tell you what it doesn't like. So now I don't eat those things because now I know better. When you know better, you do better.
Yes. I'm going to share this with my brother for sure. I mean, he watches my videos anyway, but because trying to convince him to get out of this pepper thing. I was convinced. I did get him to cut back on the whole wheat thing, because similar to myself, he definitely had a reaction. I think a lot of people, if they cut out wheat, like, you know, if you probably have fingernails here, lady, if you're to stick your hand with your fingernails and you kept it there, you feel it, but after a year, it's just become background noise. You don't notice anymore. But if you remove it and stick yourself, you're like, oh, what's that? I think with a lot of this internal inflammation, or with your example, the peppers, or me with the wheat bread, it's just stuff that's just there. But when you remove it and you're like, wow, look at that, you know, because I have dermatitis, eczema, psoriasis. And I remember when I lost a lot of weight once and I went on this audit to Switzerland 2 years in a row. And the second year, the people saw me, they're like, whoa, you look more like us now, you're slim. And they're like, did you notice any other benefits? And I was like thinking, you know, it's winter and I don't have to put stuff in my hair and my scalp isn't flaking like crazy. And I was like, wow, so my skin is good. It dawned on me then that my skin has gotten better. I was like, oh, wow. I was so shocked, you know, because for years I'd seen so many dermatologists. I used to joke I was making dermatologists wealthy with prescription creams, lotion, shampoos. It was embarrassing to get a haircut because my scalp would flake like it was snowing. You know,
it's amazing.
It was definitely the food.
Yeah, it's amazing. Food can really, it could either make you or break you. So that's why I tell people, learn your body, know thyself. If your body tells you that if you're bloating for a reason, because the food that's going in the intestines, it's saying, what is that? I don't know where to go. So let me just park right here in the intestines. And guess what? Then people say, oh, I just have a little bit of belly fat. No, you're bloated for a reason. There's something that's stuck in the colon, period.
Good point. Good point. So what's a typical week like for you from a workout point of view?
It's, you know what? I'll just put it this way. I want to use the word crazy, but I'm not going to use the word crazy.
Okay.
I get up first thing in the morning, maybe about 4 o'clock. God gets me up. I do my Bible study. I meditate, and I need that. And then at 7 o'clock, I'm at the gym. I give myself an hour at the gym. And every time I go to the gym, I'm working on something different. However, yesterday when I went to the gym, I just sat on a bicycle and I did some research and reading because that's all I had time to do. But I stayed on that bicycle for an hour. I got my work done. So people could do, I call it multitasking at the gym. And then during the week, either I'll work on my arms or I'll work on my back. I'll change up and work on my legs, just switch it up. And I do have suggested exercises for body type and transform your life through self-care. I did that purposely. And I also put what my daily food intake was and what I was eating to go on stage. but I'm O
Oh,
type. I'm
perfect.
an O type body type. So I tell
Hmm.
people, just because I did it and I'm O type,
Yeah,
know what your blood type is. And most people, they don't have a clue what their blood type
yeah,
is. So, but
gotcha.
they'll go on these fat diets thinking that it's going to help them, and it may help them to be in the hospital faster if
Right,
they don't know their body type. So
right.
I'm a writer. I love writing, and I
Hmm.
love writing. And I'm working on two books, two additional books right now. One
Okay.
is called Betrayed, and it's a true story of my life that really got me into becoming a writer. And
Hmm.
also the other one is called Writing. A lot of people,
Okay.
especially bodybuilders, they always have a story. Bodybuilders
Yeah.
have so many stories of the why did they get into bodybuilding,
Hmm.
and typically it's because of health reasons. Either
Yeah.
cancer, I hear all kind of cancer stories, and
Oh,
how
okay.
God have turned their bodies around, or a
Hmm.
person just wanting to be healthier and just, and they want to write about it. So I've
Hmm.
decided I need to really teach people there's an art to writing and getting your
Yeah.
book out in 3 months. There's an art. A person doesn't have to die with a wealth of knowledge in their brain. They could actually write it down. And I go a little bit further, and because I have an MBA, and I talk
Hmm.
about the marketing standpoint. If you want your books in libraries, and if you want to
Right.
leave your legacy, because I don't want to be known as a quote unquote best known writer. I want to
Right.
be known as a person that's left a contribution to the world of healthcare and self-care. That's what, for caregivers and an advocate for health.
Okay. Nice, nice, nice. So yes, it's funny you talk about mixing it up because that's the thing I've seen over the years now. You do want to avoid it being stale and just getting boring because then you're more likely to stop when it's not fun.
Yeah,
You're more likely to quit or to not go as the case may be.
right.
Okay. So you mentioned stories. Everybody's got a story. So most
Everyone,
people who go to the gym for a while have some kind of crazy or funny story. Either they did something crazy at the gym and nothing bad happened, or they hurt themselves at the gym and they learned some big lesson. You have
right.
any kind of funny or crazy gym stories that you could share?
Oh boy, that's a question no one's ever asked me before.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a crazy gym story, but I will say this. I love going to the gym because I've
Okay.
met so many wonderful people across all ages, and I
Hmm.
try to take some classes at least once a week. I'll take a class, and
Okay.
I'm like a dance class or a Zumba
Yeah.
class. And then I
Yeah.
have found, Carolyn, you're just so rusty. Look at all these people doing Zumba,
Yeah.
and you're stiff as a board, because
Yeah.
I'm so used to building my body until I
Yeah.
don't have that flexibility like these
Right.
people do. But so the gym, it's been like a social place for me as well. I mean,
Mhm.
I love it absolutely. But one thing, Kurt, I do want to make mention for the people
Mhm.
65 and over. There's something called the silver sneakers, and you get in gyms for free. So when I was
Oh,
planning my going into
yeah.
65, the person was saying, Carolyn, you get to get a silver sneaker. And I'm going, oh my God. Because I used to think the silver sneakers were just for old people. But guess
Yeah.
what? I finally made it to a silver
You finally
sneaker.
made it
So,
there, right?
so I'm going to be saving some money. That's what it
Yes.
boils down to.
I did not know that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty
it's called
cool. So
silver.
yeah, you really have no reason to
Yeah,
not go,
yeah, no reason
per
at
se.
all.
What are some of the things you do to help with recovery? And how important is recovery to you?
Oh, recovery is number one. Now,
Okay.
because I do have physical issues that I deal with, I listen
Mm-hmm.
to my body, and just like I was in hills for 2 days in a row,
Okay.
Friday for my doctorate, Saturday for being on a show, and boy, did I have to recover, because that's physicalness going on stage, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to still strike a pose, which you're
Yeah.
still using your muscles. So
Mm-hmm.
that Sunday, I stayed in bed all day, and I didn't feel guilty about it. Then
Okay.
so oftentimes I'll go and I'll get a deep tissue massage, or I'll go to the sauna or the whirlpool, and I'll just sit
Mm-hmm.
there with the jets just on my
Yeah.
lower back. So
Mm-hmm.
I always say, listen to your body, and you cannot go wrong. A lot of people will ignore a pain, if they feel pain,
Yes.
listen to that. Your body's saying, oh, I don't
Mm-hmm.
listen. So that's how I recover. I listen to my body. I give my body what it needs. If my body says, don't go to the gym, I won't go to
Yep.
the gym because the body needs to rest. And plus, you know, once you're tearing muscles and you're working out,
Mm-hmm.
you want to rotate that because that muscle group needs to rest at least 24 hours. That's why you want to switch
Right.
up what you're doing. So that's why a person needs a coach to
Mm-hmm.
help them to stay healthy on their wellness journey.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's funny when you talk about the body sending signals because it's you don't just usually hurt yourself. It's usually something was tight, or it kept hurting, and you kept ignoring it. And like I
Right.
tell people, if an exercise feels funny, don't do it. There's lots of exercises out there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if this particular thing that I said recommend you do, or somebody else told you to do, doesn't feel right or it hurts, don't do it.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work for you. There's a million other exercises to build any body part out.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like a car. If you're driving a car and you hear this knocking noise, you ignore it, the knocking gets bigger, louder and louder, and eventually something will snap.
Right.
But the car gave you ample warning to go to a mechanic. What was that noise?
That's
But
right.
sometimes you ignore the noise, right?
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
Well, you know, another thing, Kurt, that I really have to
Mm-hmm.
share, a person has to embrace their deep beauty. When you go to the gym or wherever you go, do not compare yourself, I tell people, with anyone.
Yes.
Embrace your own beautiful body that God has blessed you with. And I share that with folks. So a lot of folks won't even get a coach. Like my friend, she says, well, I got to lose weight before I get a coach. And I'm going, something's wrong with that thinking. What do you
Yes.
got to get a coach? Because she's embarrassed of what the coach will think. Forget about what a great coach, they're going to coach you into wellness and become your best friend. So I tell people, embrace your own deep beauty. You've got to love yourself.
Yes.
Regardless if you're overweight, underweight, sick, love yourself. And when you love yourself, then you can tap into your deep beauty and inner work because you're worth it. That's the key.
No. That's a very, very great piece of advice you gave, because a lot of people, that holds them back. Because I remember my second coach, he told me, Kirk, if you keep comparing yourself to bodybuilders, you'll be unhappy.
Yeah.
You know, these people have great, flawless genetics. They're full-time professionals. They don't miss cardio day.
Right.
They wake up, they train, they go home and rest. They may train a second time. You can't compare yourself to these people. You know, they're professionals for a reason. They're not amateurs. Right? It's like comparing yourself to a pro NBA basketball player or something. That's not really logical or reasonable. But compare yourself to yourself, that you yourself see improvement. And the reality is, which leads into my next question, actually, because one of my female subscribers wanted me to ask you, what does it feel like to have a hotter body in your 60s than many women in their 20s and 30s?
Oh, that's a question no one's ever asked me either. But oh boy, this is what I love. My whole reader base, because my work is in universities, and you know that it's the Generation X's that keeps my work alive, because the Generation X's and people in their 30s and the millennials, they're always saying, Carolyn, I don't want to be a caregiver to my baby boomer parent, and I'm a baby boomer, and they're saying, Carolyn, you know, what can you do, or what can you talk to my mother, or can you? And their parents are my age, so I got to tell you, I feel blessed. I feel so blessed. Last week when I was on stage, I'm always the oldest female on stage, always. And they love saying, oh, Carolyn A. Brent, she was 60 when she won the first award. Now she's turning 65 in January. And the audience, they go nuts. They go crazy. And I'm going like, oh. So what it does, it feeds my soul. It's like the world saying, Carolyn, thank you for showing us, being a liaison for health. So I'm humbled and I'm honored to just, I'm honored. When I say I'm honored, because once again, when I got the doctorate, it's the first of its kind for caregiving and self-care. Who gets a degree for that?
Yes.
First ever. I have a university that I started, we're still building it, and it's called Carolyn A. Brent Deep Beauty Health and Wellness University, because people don't know how to stay healthy. They don't. They just go by what they see. People don't know what to eat. People don't know. So thank you for the 2 questions I've never had before. I thought I had them all, but you're throwing some good ones at me. But thank you.
Thank you.
I just feel honored I just feel honored. That's all it's an honor. It really does.
Gotcha. Are there any supplements you take that help to supplement your health or your fitness?
Yes. And once again, because of my medical background in pharmaceuticals, I don't make any recommendations, because a person needs to check with their healthcare provider, because some nutritional items can act as a medication if somebody's on actual medication.
Yes, that is true.
So I always say, with everything I say and everything that I write, check with your healthcare professional. And when you get your blood work, they're going to check your vitamin D, they're going to check every enzyme, see what kind of blood you have, and let that be the baseline. And then find out your blood type, and then you build on that. And I highly recommend it. My doctor, it so happens she's an MD / nutritionist as well. So she's advised me on things that I could take, even protein pills to take for me that she recommends. So, I feel that she's accountable because she's an MD, but she knows my body. Does that make sense? So
it does.
Yeah, so that's why I won't give out like any nutritional advice, because people will run out and they'll buy that stuff. They'll go, Carolyn said it on Kurt's show, and I had this heart attack. No, we're not going to get in that kind of trouble.
Right. It's funny. The flip side to that, kind of to build what you said, is I just interviewed a young gentleman, and he said, he used to take a gazillion supplements, and then he thought, he eats this really great diet, very nutrient dense. He's kind of just throwing away money. So he cut back. And I used to do the same thing. I used to take a gazillion things. I would get labs and everything would look great. And I was like, why am I taking vitamin D is a good example. If you get out enough sun, you do labs, your vitamin D levels are optimal or great, then why was I spending money on tons of vitamin D, So you do need to know.
Yeah. I've done the same thing, and I've gotten myself into a lot of trouble by taking supplements that might. Speaking of vitamin D, I was taking a supplemental vitamin D, and another product I was taking for my hair had vitamin D. So I had just too much vitamin D.
Too much.
And my doctor said, Carolyn, what in the heck are you doing? Why get off of it? So that's why you see why I don't make any recommendations. People need to talk to their healthcare professionals.
Yeah, you can't just take a supplement in isolation, because I ran into a similar problem once where there's some green powder I was taking, it had a lot of iodine, and I get iodine from shrimp that I eat and then from another supplement, and my body was like heating up. And I couldn't understand what was going on until finally I was just doing some research, and I was like, iodine, and I was like, oh, damn it, I'm like overstimulating the thyroid. So I cut that out, and then all of a sudden I wasn't heating up anymore, so to speak.
Right. Well, Kurt, I do want to say one last thing, because I know you are a coach. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you just one pearl. This is a pearl.
Okay.
With your clients, you can tap into all their deep beauty. If the little pearls that we talked about on this show, if it can help you, I definitely endorse what you're doing. I endorse where you're going, and I love your story. Your story is very powerful, because if you could do it, so can millions of other people. They could do it too. And the first thing you did, you made your mind up. You said, I'm going to do this. So that's the pearl, what I want to share. And
Thank
to
you.
me, I would love to always get a coach that's been there, done that. That's how they could help me. You see what I'm saying?
No, yes, without a doubt. Thanks again. That was unexpected, but thank you quite a lot. Thank you. Again, Carolyn, have a wonderful, blessed day, and thanks so much for sharing the pearls of wisdom today.
Oh,
I and my viewers appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good way.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.